What's going on, everybody? Gustav the 13th here with another video for the week of the 12th of March 2026. We have our second suit here for the Iron-Blooded Orphans event. There's the Gundam Hajiroboshi. Another raid, but this time at 600 cost, 4-star rarity, the priority of 3, and compatibility for ground and space. Pretty interesting. Also, as you can see there, that range strength of 0, you're leaning on your weapons a lot. And when, as you can see, very simple kit again. In this case, though, we actually have a situation where it really comes off more as like a Red Rider, but just really amped up, because we have a 110mm short range rifle, which is essentially a machine gun, does 7 round bursts, ammo 40, range of 300, power of 400, reload of 7 seconds, so not too bad on the downside for that. Decent accumulation, although you pretty much had to do like 2.5 bursts to really stun anything. But we'll get into the skills and stuff to kind of show off why that's not super awful, but also a little bit rough if you're not used to doing the usual approach for this. That being said, let's look at this. So Smart Mace actually does have a heavy attack on it. Get some other stuff going on when we get into its other mode. Compatible with heavy attack high and aerial melee system skills. While the latter is activated, additional damage is dealt according to the enemy HP. And then we have the Club Shield and the Club Shield Blow. It does have a little drill in there, kind of a claw similar kind of situation. It almost kind of feels Oberonish a little bit. But the way that the blow works, and I'm going to mess with it a little bit when we get into our practice round. It feels like it just has one attack. And it's like a really big traversal kind of situation, good for catching stuff, has its own blowback effect on it when it does connect, so you can keep them kind of spaced in front of you still, or at least off to the side without them straying off too much. The Club Shield, in contrast, is actually a heavy attack and or a really big arcing like downswing, just punching forward. But beyond that, let's check out the stats and skills. So for the stats, we got 23k health. Ballistic beam and melee resistance are 20, 22, and 24. Like I said before, range strength of 0, melee strength baseline of 60, movement speed of 135, top speed of 225, thruster gauge of 75, and a turning speed of 81. So definitely able to get some good speeds in there while you're just trying to manage and look at shit all the time, which you're going to be doing a lot in this suit. Part slots wise, we have close, medium, and long for 17, 16, and 11. It's a little bit stingy when it comes to the medium and long there. Close range also not particularly high, but this is a 600 suit. It's not really going to scale quite the same as if it was level boosted and all that stuff, obviously. We do have a laundry list of skills here. So Assault Booster 3, High Spec Ambec 2, Maneuver Armor 2, Melee Composite System 3, Aerial Melee System 1, High Performance Thruster Control System 2, Heavy Attack Kai like we saw before. When selecting a weapon that supports heavy attack high, hold and release the attack button and perform an attack with added power and melee. This attack also ignores buffer damage reduction and pierces enemy shields. Attack recoil is lessened when hit mid-attack, and stagger due to cumulative damage is reduced. Also, heavy attack high can be used while in mid-air, and that's the big thing. That's another part of the aerial melee for this. Emergency Evasion System 3. So as long as you're not boosting around willy-nilly, which you will be, you can potentially get some more stuff out of it, although typically you're just going to have 2 rolls on hand. Anti-blast stabilizer, flat booster. Flat booster it does have, and I'm a little bit surprised considering that the Barbatos did have the tactical boost and all that stuff going on. Although when you look at the back skirt flaps and the thrusters under it, I guess they just use that as an excuse. But it is only flat booster 1. But that's also not a super big deal. We'll get into that a little bit here. But special left arm equipment buffer, got 35% on that piece. High performance counter program, executing a counter with less than 50 HP triggers a special powerful counter. Close combat program. We're getting into the nitty gritty here, kind of, sort of, a little bit. So we got a lot more resistance on this cumulatively. Although because you're dealing with a lot of this suit running around and a lot of melee heavy stuff at this cost, Close Combat Program does and doesn't really come into play here. But if a melee weapon is equipped, mobility is increased, and when hit by a ranged attack, damage taken, reaction, and cumulative damage reactions are reduced. Also, when destroying an enemy mobile suit with a melee weapon, cooldown time is reset for all melee weapons, immediately rendering them usable. Note that melee type range weapons used to destroy enemy mobile suits will not be reset. And on top of that, and on top of the maneuver armor too, and on top of all that, we have nano-limited armor. When the unit's HP is at 50% or higher, the damage taken from ranged attacks is 1500 or less. Damage and stagger buildup is reduced. We also have the same stuff from the Barbatos in this case as well for the Ahab waves. 100 meter radius, extends time to lock on second use an enemy unit, also does a little bit of jamming. And then we have our output limiter release. So in this case, instead of having like a max output or a Laevich Nada kind of stuff going on, we have output limiter, which is at an 80% threshold. If you're familiar with some of the F90 variants and stuff with their own OS kind of pop-offs, is very similar to that. And when this goes under 80%, fully recovering HP for all parts. While in effect, it increases unit attack power and mobility, and reduces the amount of thruster consumed while starting / during high-speed movement. And that's why aerial melee and the flat boosters being as low as they are is not a big deal, because when you do have this on, you pretty much just sip and boost. Performance for weapons compatible with the skill will be altered, reducing damage taken while moving at high speed. Nullifies all reactions except for knockback due to cumulative damage, only at the point of skill activation. So another get out of jail free card, biosensor kind of situation there. Not shabby. If we back out and look at the enhancements here, we got +1 to melee modifier, +1 to melee resistance, plus 100 to unit HP, and the complex expansion comes in at 3380. For the unlockables, keep in mind that this is a 4-star, so you gotta have some higher end stuff here. We have +5 to melee modifier and reduces melee damage to HP by 5% when toppled, so you have a melee defense system. Pretty nice. So, we are gonna take this into practice real quick, show this bad boy off, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. Things to keep in mind mostly, because again, kind of a simple kit. A lot of stuff going on in between all of them though. So, show off the gun real quick. So, hitting this guy, we have 2 bursts there for that. Actually get 3 swings with the club. The club also has a decent downswing, a little bit of wind up, not quite as much traversal as you would hope, especially because it's not very long. It's definitely a little bit stumpier than the sword mace and stuff like that for the Barbatos. For the blow, then we have this really big, just kind of, it kind of reminds me of some of the Aquazaki things, but no matter what you hold direction wise, it's pretty much just this multi-hit kind of deal. And as I was saying, blowback on there. For the drill, however, you only get 1 swing, but you do have like side swings, you have a neutral forward swing, and if one of these guys will lose their iframes real quick, heavy stagger on that. Fast enough to kind of catch them out of that. Obviously some folks will probably still roll out of it. It's kind of just what it is. And then we can show off the heavy attack here. Horrendous damage. Pretty much a 1-tap depending. 2-step kind of situation there. Now when it comes to the general situation for that, you probably would want to get in there first with that, because that blow regardless is all just the one, and then you set up for some other stuff. The aerial melee, keep in mind, it's supposed to be with the mace. You can get in there a little bit. In some situations, it feels like there's a lot of hang time before it actually kind of lets you do it. This isn't a situation like the Barbatos where you had that tactical boosting, and the cancel kind of keeps it a little bit more concise. Oof. You got a really big drop in there in some cases. And to be honest, it was really hard during my matches to really get it to respond. And I think part of that really just has to do with, you know, having to be careful with how you're holding on for for the attack because it does have that heavy stagger, although I think I'm gonna try it real quick. Interesting. It's really slow, right? But again, not awful. This is very pronounced. If you don't really like initiate or connect with that first part, it feels kind of like ugh. But the bigger thing with this is just a matter of the fact that it, you know, only has that range. Hello. There you go. I don't know what the difference was. It just didn't feel like it, but that limiter release lasts for about a minute or so. Oh wow. And as you can see there, a lot less sippage when it comes to the redirects and stuff in the air. Pretty gross. And of course, because most of your melee has a lot of traversal on it, as long as you're on the ground or just committing to your animation, you're regaining some of that boost back between melee attacks. And of course, while we're in this mode, we can also fire this on the move while boosting. One thing to keep in mind, and I'm probably not going to use that match in particular, but this is another thing where we have a stun that happens if you do end up being on the ground while that is deactivating for the release limit. Now, if you're in the air or if you're moving around or whatever, you're fine. Same as the other stuff. But beyond that, not a lot else going on. Keep in mind that system, because it's a threshold, only happens once. And then you're just kind of on your own after that. Still, pretty gross damage on this thing. Seems aggressive enough that we're probably going to be seeing a few of them here. But man, I will say, this suit's a lot of energy to kind of put in the effort for. There's probably a lot of other suits that aren't necessarily even raids that you probably get a lot more damage more consistently with a lot less effort. But if you're all about that big monkey bunga, this has got plenty of it. So, we do have some matches. I'll be honest, this thing, kind of neat. It feels interesting when you're like really kind of engrossed in it, but otherwise it just irritated the hell out of me. So, we'll put that match right around here. That era of Final Fantasy 13 and its offshoots was such a weird like experimental time before they even got to like a lot of the canceled projects and shit. It's interesting to see how all their open world stuff really culminated into like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and shit. Is that? Oh my god, it's just gonna murder me. Oh, I got 3 and 2 are just trying to hide places. And they're just getting run down. It's just too much effort. I shouldn't have to try this hard. come very slowly filing in. Thank you. I don't know if this thing's hang time is just really slow, but it takes forever for that aerial melee to actually kick in. Like, goddamn. Like, other suits that have aerial melee can even do, like, falling cancels into that shit, and this suit just refuses to do it. This is probably no surgery, yeah. I don't even want to look at it. I don't want to look at it because this is a bunch of bullshit. Like, why am I landing for that? Just let me do my melee on the way down. Why can't I just do it on the way down? And they're just waiting. And it's just gonna be the three of us, and I'm gonna drop because there's no point waiting for the other two. Hurry the fuck up. Oh my god, please, why couldn't I fucking boost? Oh, I hate it. I hate everything about it. This shit is pissing me off. God, move. Thank you. And you completely missed him somehow? That's weird. I don't get how he was so close to him though. Confusion. Great, and I don't have any other range, so I can't do anything about that. Oh my god. I have to just fucking sit here and cruise and hope that they don't counter me while I wait for these dudes to stun literally anything. Come on. That was not supposed to be a roll. And then suddenly everyone disintegrates and I'm by myself again. Yay! Oh, that's not good. Who is raiding me because you chosen a bad time? I get beat up. welcome in. If you gotta raid and run, take care of yourself on the stream. Be sure to do what you gotta do. We're trying out the new suit. Very mixed. Oh god. Ooh! Mixed results. Yeah. What else are you doing okay to do? That caught him. That didn't look like it caught him. Please. You stupid motherfucker. You're in the fucking way. Oh. Yeah. No, hit him again. You gotta be shitting me, dude. Just shoot him, because you guys are, all you want to do is shoot. You're just gonna get in my way whenever you feel like it. Oh. It wants me to play like this as fucking M-Bomb and just use melee as traversal all day. Like the old school fucking like S-Gundam days. That sucks. I hate that. So I'm literally having to just downswing in circles and fucking flat to readjust myself. Except that I can't fucking speed drop cancel in order to get a sharper angle for those stupid aerial swings, so fuck. And that was our match for the Hajiroboshi. Again, 600 costs, very heavy IBO Bunga Red Rider situation going on here. I'm just kind of glad that it does have a decent amount of traversal on all of its downswings for the melee. I feel like if it didn't, especially with that mode, it probably wouldn't work quite as well as it does. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be hunting for the heavy attack, especially because you can do it, you know, in the air and stuff like that. It does gross damage. So if you're just kind of chasing that high and hoping that you can get in there with that, there's several different ways that you can really kind of run this. Either just doing a lot of traversal to try to keep up and keep yourself on a swivel, or just trying to initiate with that stun, hit with this, dig in with the heavy, and then, you know, just cycle through all your shit, essentially, as much as you can. Keep in mind that that heavy stagger, in particular, actually has a really slow cooldown, so unless you're taking advantage of that, that cooldown negation from that other skill, definitely gonna be a little slow. But, you know, the animations and the time spent on the other two, while maybe even setting up for some other stuff with the gun, means it'll probably come up in no time by comparison. So, this is a very simplistic suit in that regard. It does make me wonder how long this is going to be in the rotation. There are other suits, raid-wise, some of the AOZ stuff and otherwise, that kind of does the same thing while also having a lot more flexibility when it comes to ranged. So, you know, outside of the fans of IBO and folks that really figure out some of the combinations and stuff to make the 3 melee on this thing, it'll be interesting to see as this week progresses how often we see this thing boosting around and causing trouble. But I do not have this on my main accounts. This is an Asian special right here. He ended up spinning for it because the part that it came with was actually pretty nice. So, we'll be fighting against it a lot, but not necessarily able to fight in it. Beyond that though, for anyone who's looking into this, definitely not something you 10,000% have to get. But I feel like the people who really do click with this thing are going to be ultra obnoxious. But because this is another 4-star 7-step suit that came right after the Barbatos, I won't be surprised and I wouldn't blame you for not really jumping on this unless, you know, once again, similarly, you just see a lot of appeal in the part that it comes with for its 7th step. So that's the long and short of it for the new suit here. Hopefully, and I am kind of curious because obviously this is our last venture into IBO for a little bit until they either do another dual banner or, you know, have another excuse. So, you know, 3 cheers for the Hajiroboshi actually making a debut seemingly in this game when it isn't really very well represented in anything outside of its source material in game and stuff. But until next time, this is Gustav the 13th. Good luck if you do end up spinning on this, and hopefully I will talk to you guys in the next video.